Hello, everyone. My name is David Neff, and I'm a student in the course Social Work 601, and we'll be discussing and evaluating the advocacy plan that I have made throughout the course of this class. So, a description of the veteran population, which was the population I decided to focus on, is as follows. Emphasis on the challenges veterans face, including stress and struggles after service, post-traumatic stress disorder, highlight the significant impact of PTSD on veterans' mental health and daily lives, a cultural disregard for veterans, address societal failure to provide proper respect, care, and support for veterans, exacerbating their challenges, then a connection to freedom and military service. It is my belief that when we acknowledge the vital role veterans play in preserving American freedoms, we understand the honor and sacrifices that they've made, which I feel led me to want to talk about this population the most. For strategies to support veterans, I'll explain and explore ways to reduce marginalization and improve the well-being of veterans through education and targeted interventions. I will talk about social policies at micro and macro levels. I'm reviewing those policies and the impact they have on the veteran community. And a specific path that I found to be the most significant are peer support groups. A quote that I have found states the following. Peer support groups, also known as self-help groups, provide a unique tool for helping veterans working through the military to civilian transition to achieve higher levels of social support and community integration. The number and variety of community-based peer support groups has grown to the point that there are now more visits to these groups each year than to mental health professionals. I will share some information and thoughts about that as we continue. So I'd like to specifically talk about marginalization throughout American history with our veteran population. So throughout the Revolutionary War, veterans faced neglect and poverty due to inadequate pensions and government support. Throughout the Civil War, Union veterans received limited assistance, while Confederate veterans were ignored, reflecting post-war societal divisions. World War I, creation of organizations like the American Legion, but many veterans struggled with unemployment and trauma. For the World War II, the GI Bill provided significant benefits, but systematic discrimination limited access for Black veterans. Throughout the Vietnam War, veterans faced public hostility, psychological trauma, and inadequate care amid national division over this specific war. And some of the modern challenges that we face today highlight specifically PTSD, homelessness, long waits for VA care, and systematic underfunding despite public appreciation for our veterans. A quote that I have found states that according to the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, National Center for PTSD, it's recorded that approximately 11 to 20 out of every 100 veterans, or between 11 to 20% who served in Operation Iraqi Freedom or Operation Enduring Freedom, have PTSD in a given year. So that's the primary focus of my project, is that we must address the frequencies and large numbers within our modern challenges that we face for individuals struggling with PTSD. Some social policies at the micro and macro level. I currently live in Idaho and will specifically talk about some micro level organizations with that and then emphasize macro as we continue. Role of local and state policies. Local and state policies shape essential services and support systems for veterans and their families. The Office of Veterans Advocacy of Idaho provides guidance on accessing state and federal benefits, including healthcare, education, and housing resources. Disabled Veterans of Idaho offer support services such as connecting veterans with community resources, transportation to medical appointments, and career assistance. Empowering veterans through advocacy. The DVA ensures state policies align with veterans' needs, promoting dignity and independence within the state of Idaho. At a more macro level, I found the Veterans Employment and Training Services to be interesting. It is administered by the Department of Labor The VETS provides job training, counseling, and placement tailored to veterans' unique skills. With that, we created an advocacy map for this course. I created mine on December 11th. The problem I primarily addressed was access to resources and the ability to adapt to home life for veterans. The type of advocacy I chose to focus on was agency. The desired outcome for population is freedom to choose assistance and advocacy groups that support their needs the best, that being individual. The ultimate social justice related outcome for society is medical assistance, help with finding jobs, and providing mental care for veterans. Here is an example of my advocacy map. I specifically focused on the VA, our federal medical group, the Disabled American Veterans, which I spoke of briefly. This is at more of a macro level. Each state has their own department of DAV. Social work and social workers with micro level practices, and then local and federal governments creating policies specific to the needs. And within this map, this advocacy plan, I tried my best to focus on helping individuals at all levels, whether it be with medical assistance, with mental health issues, with finding affordable housing and affordable healthcare were some of the hopes that I had at this level of my planning process. So a social media campaign that I felt was significant was again for the state of Idaho at a more micro level. I called it Support Our Heroes, Idaho. I talked about how we will be creating groups. As stated previously, the size of groups and accessibility to that has increased greatly. So highlighting that focus within an Instagram or social media campaign, I feel is the most important thing to recognize and help individuals understand that they are not alone and that they are heard. That's one of the significant points I mentioned was letting the voice of thousands be heard within a community for veterans who are suffering and let them know that many people are there to support them. So throughout my survey and evaluation, I'd like to specifically state how an evaluation is understanding the veterans community, and the veteran population in the US encompasses individuals aged 18 and older with a wide range of physical and mental health challenges. As of 2023, there were 2.86 million Americans in active duty and an estimated 17.9 million veterans, many of whom are older than 75 plus. Access to care and effective support strategies are critical to addressing their unique needs, such as PTSD and other service-related health conditions. With the survey administration strategies that I was hoping to be successful at and do better on, is to specifically create a design that's clear, concise, and sensitive to veterans' experiences. With diverse distribution methods, online platforms, mailing and in-person outreach at veteran centers or events, it is essential that this accessibility is provided. Building trust through partnerships with veteran organizations, ensuring anonymity, and offering emotional support resources are critical steps to encourage participation and minimize potential distress with the sensitivities that come with PTSD and serving in our military. Some recruitment tactics that I wanted to highlight specifically were social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to engage our younger veteran audience, and using television ads, flyers, and newspaper announcements to appeal to the older generation. Collaboration with VA hospitals, support groups, or retirement homes, excuse me, and community organizations can also help a broader audience reach. Addressing sensitivities and ethical considerations is something that I focused on while formatting and evaluating my survey. And the sensitivity in survey design is vital to avoid triggering emotional distress, especially in those with PTSD or trauma-related conditions. The questions that I crafted, I tried my best to be thoughtfully worded to gather impactful data without being intrusive. Support resources should be readily available for participants who may feel emotionally impacted by this survey. With evaluating advocacy and the plan that I've placed, a quote that I found was significant as a follow-up from our textbook. It states, an often overlooked step is defining the issue as unambiguously as possible. Without being able to specify what the issue is, it will be impossible to understand it. Having a few facts at hand is not the same as defining an issue. I believe that this step is the most significant to take at this point in evaluating my advocacy plan. I've done a lot of research, I've heard stories, and found insight from others, but feel the most important avenue to take is to fully understand the struggles that the veteran truly goes through. Gathering information directly from the source and sources of veterans is the next major step for me to take in evaluating my plan. I'm aware of the issues that they face, but wish to learn more because of how personal and individual the trials of veterans are. So some lessons learned is the outreach that I had was not quite as broad to the veteran community as I was hoping it would be. Um, with that being said, I was able to learn a lot about the needs and requirements that people do have and was able to discuss issues with individuals from a professional perspective as doctors who work at VAs and therapists that I have come to know. These individuals shared the struggles they see directly, but were not veterans themselves. So here is a list of my sources. I appreciated this project and learned a lot from it, and my love for the veteran community has only increased, and I hope that I can play a part in serving them more. Thank you.